I'm Kenneth, a relationship coach and a psychotherapist. Every relationship is different and every breakup is different. Work with me and you'll get professional help on your situation. And if you're in no contact, focused on personal growth, my workbook series, The Knowledge, will help you make changes like you've never made before. Available now at AskCraig.net. Hi there, I'm Coach Craig Kenneth, and in this video I'm going to be talking to you about I want him to give me a second chance. He better give it to me. I deserve it. You know, you may be in a situation where you're hoping your partner is going to give you a second chance, and I understand. You know, many times we have been living our life blindly to our attachment issues. And that is why I'm so proactive on teaching and helping heal attachment issues. Because what you're going to see is the more you work through it, the more confident you're going to become. And the more confident that you are, the more attractive you're going to behave. You're not going to be smothering or pushy or controlling, manipulative. You're going to be a lot more likely to understand your partner's needs and, help navigate the connection because you really care about how they feel and not so much on how you feel. Anxiety makes us very selfish. And until you are aware of that, you're going to do a lot of small little things that are selfish and self-absorbed and turn people off. And sometimes we need a wake-up call. But do you deserve a second chance? I don't know. We're adults and we're having adult relationships, and it's on you to figure out what your issues are and to work through them like an adult. You can't just mistreat someone and expect them to give you a second chance, okay? Because it's usually not, we had one incident, one fight. It's like over and over again where your anxiety got the best of you and it caused you to be selfish and lashing out and controlling and demeaning and all these little things. And that's why I've been talking about it since I launched the channel many, many years ago. One of my earliest videos is The Real Reason Relationships Fail. And it was phenomenal. And going in all the little details of what we do that causes attraction to get lost with our selfish ways. So I've got a good email coaching from a woman who is in her mid-30s and also dating a guy in his 30s. And he has a child. And let's get into this email. It's tough to see these things, but you know what? These are the things that help us teach us and help us grow. So whenever somebody puts an email out that says, okay, it's okay to share it, you have to respect them because, even though you're not really publicly, it's not like your face is in the video, it's still kind of embarrassing to see and hear these things about ourselves. But that often makes us want to grow and change. That pain that we go through often motivates us, okay? So this couple began dating towards the end of 2021, okay? And they took a brief break in early 2022, but then they wound up breaking up in the summer of 2022. So this breakup was a while ago, and this just goes to show you how powerful attachment is, that, a year and a half later, she's still struggling with this breakup. And like I talk about all the time, that is related to our attachment issues. And I highly recommend you check out the workbooks. The Creative Healing course is especially even more intense and in-depth because after we did workbooks 1 through 10 years later, I didn't think I was going to top 1 through 10, to be quite honest with you, because it was so much. I mean, it's almost 600 pages, and it covers like close to 100 videos. But when the pandemic hit and Victoria was training and we had a lot of time and she was limited with some of her time with Margaret, that's all we did with our free time was come up with something different that we could get a lot more in depth and have a lot more different things like art therapy activities, whiteboard videos, cartoons, audio affirmations. I wanted it to be bigger and even more grand than I could have done with the workbooks. Okay, so let's call her ex Jerry. All right? Jerry and I were actually neighbors, which is how we met. We have intense chemistry and similar hobbies and loved being goofy together. Is there anything better than having somebody you can laugh and joke with? You know, you've heard me talk about the Applebee's girl, and one of the things that I absolutely loved about her is how funny she is. You know, I've done stand-up comedy at this point for, I don't even know, like 20 years. Now, I don't do it like I used to. I used to go out, 5 nights a week. But when I was really into it, and I was dating her, she was funnier than most of the comics that I know. And she would often critique them. And she was right. She goes on to say, he asked me to move in with him, but ended up retracting the offer based on my behavior. It's painful to see this stuff, but this is what helps us grow. That's why I'm so open about mistakes that I've made, right? We can laugh about it and joke about it and, share those things with you, because the reason that I do this is because of all the pain and the trauma that I went through in my own breakups and attachment trauma from my childhood, where both my parents were married 3 times each and had, massive separation anxiety as a small baby because my dad had left my mom, and so I wasn't seeing my dad anymore. My dad was great with me. I have tons and tons of pictures of him and I when I was an infant and a baby. So I know he was a great dad. It's just that he and my mom were in that anxious avoidant trap, which I didn't know about back then. Of course, people are only starting to know about it now, right? But even when I was in grad school getting my master's, this wasn't really talked about. Okay, so this is all relatively new stuff, but it's changing how we see romantic love, and for the better. She says, unfortunately, I had extreme anxious anxiety attachment and refused to give him space, which is what happened with my mom and my dad. My dad wants to go play basketball. My mom is getting all upset, crying about it. Where are you going? Making a big deal about it. And that just makes him feel smothered and trapped. And like, what am I doing? I was highly critical of him. That's that negativity that kills attraction too. It's like saying, I am the better one. I'm more important. My feelings, my thoughts are more important to you. You're small. And that really kills a connection. I was always stressed out and hard to be around, jealous of girls that he followed on social media. And all these things kill attraction. Negativity kills attraction. It really, really does. If you can get rid of a lot or most of negativity from your relationship, that alone will make a huge change. And this is how you know it's attachment trauma, right? Okay, listen to this. Even when he went out of his way to prove his love, it was never enough. And that tells you that it's not really about him, it's about her attachment trauma that she's got to work through. We all do, okay? Because this guy is going out of his way to prove his love, and even that's not enough. So, people can only take so much of that before they give up. They're frustrated. They're like, I've done so much and nothing that I do makes it any better. And they're like, why do I keep doing this? There's only so much someone can do. I pushed him to shut down and ghost at times, which made my behavior even worse, of course. A few months after we broke up, he moved about 45 minutes away. 3 months after we broke up, in the fall of September of 2022, he started dating someone else, which absolutely destroyed me. I wasn't aware that he was dating someone because a few months later, I asked if he'd like to go to coffee, and he said he admired my request, but felt too much attraction for me and unable to do it. So it's a bit of a mixed message. He wasn't really clear. He's letting her kind of believe that maybe he wants to go. Maybe he wants to see her, when he really was already dating someone else. A month later, we spoke again. Who do you think reached out? Probably her, right? And it was at that time he told me he was dating someone. I freaked out and pleaded with him, but he said he was committed to who he was with. That really hurts to hear, okay? And if somebody tells you that, you have to back off and leave them alone. You cannot continue to pursue someone that is in a relationship, because it just makes you look desperate and petty. I even asked him to come over in person to say he was no longer willing to give us a chance, to which he did. See, that feels manipulative. She's thinking he's not going to be able to tell me to my face. But this guy already said, I'm committed to this new woman, and he was going to stand by that. Which led to me continuing to beg and him stating his decision. Yeah, of course. I told him I would need to block him on social media before I could even get on. After he left, he completely deleted his account. Wow. Wow. So he deleted it right away. In 2023, I went through a health scare which completely changed my life. I spent 5 months recovering. And I'm not going to tell you which health scare it was. I'll leave it a little bit more vague. But it was very serious, okay? During that time, I deeply reflected about how wrong I had been living my life. I quit my high-paying job and started my life living in alignment with what really matters. It was a hard year, but I'm happy to say that after multiple surgeries, I am doing better. With everything that happened to me last year, I realized that Jerry deserved an apology. Deserved an apology, or you're trying to spark things up again? I'm almost entirely to blame for our breakup, and my behavior was unwarranted, that I put him through a lot. Well, good for her for acknowledging her mistakes and seeing how she was allowing her anxiety to take over. I feel like there's still some manipulation behind this, like she's really just trying to spark things up again. And it's not so much as just an apology. There's an apology, but there's an agenda. It's an agendaed apology, which is kind of like a handwritten letter, right? I finally sent an apology last week, and to my surprise, he responded. I rarely post to my social media, but I did the morning he sent the last text shown. She sent me a bunch of the text messages. To my surprise, he was watching my stories. I guess he created a business account for his company, and I didn't realize it. That made me feel like he possibly is still interested, which sent me into a weird place of wondering where he is actually in his current relationship and what his real thoughts about me are. I hearted his last text, but didn't respond because I didn't know how to interpret him watching my story. I hearted his last text, but didn't respond because I didn't know how to interpret him watching my story. He's probably just checking, see what's going on. I'm currently casually dating a guy. We're both so busy it's a relationship that doesn't have a label. We see each other every 2 weeks or so. It's definitely not something either of us are pursuing seriously. I made it clear that I still have dating apps. My question is, how do I continue navigate things with him to possibly get a second chance? I feel as though our story is incomplete. I don't know if we could ever really be just friends because we're so incredibly attracted to each other. I really need your help in possibly getting back the love of my life. I've never been in this situation before. I've done the necessary work and I'm still continuing to go to therapy. Please help me figure out what to do and say to build a reconnection to realize he's made a mistake. Well, okay. I don't like that you're saying that he's made a mistake, and here's why. You're acknowledging for a good part of this email that your behavior was unattractive and you were mistreating him. Okay? And that's great. You got to take accountability. But why was it a mistake for him to leave somebody who wasn't treating him great? It wasn't. I think he did the right thing. And just like I would say that if somebody mistreats you, it's the right thing to do to leave a situation, that you shouldn't stay with somebody who's mistreating you. Now, how do you get him to give you a second chance? All right, so there was a lot of text messages that she sent, and I read through them all. I can't go through them all right now, but basically, he reaffirmed that he's in a relationship, and he felt a little bit guilty about texting her. He said, I don't feel guilty about texting you because my ex continues to talk to her ex here and there, so I don't really feel guilty. But you could see he's kind of like warning her, like, I don't want this to go any further. You know, he didn't say it consciously, but basically I could read between the lines, which he's saying, I'm in a relationship, I'm setting a boundary, and I'm committed to that relationship right now. I told her that based on everything that I read in those texts, the best thing that she could do is to send one last casual text that says, hey, look, I know you're in a relationship right now. If you ever find yourself single, give me a call. Maybe I'll be single. Something very casual. The reason she wanted to apologize to him was about all of her bad behavior and things she did to turn him off in the relationship. And she did that through the text messages. You didn't get a lot of that through the email, but she did. And so now that she did, and by the way, I would not have recommended she do it like this, so I'm not recommending that you guys do this, but this is what I'm dealing with at this point when she's come to me. So now she apologized. They've had some nice conversations where they both kind of took accountability for things, but he's not single. Okay? And if you chase after him when he's in a relationship, he's going to lose respect for you. He's not going to see you as dating material. He's going to see you as a woman that will do what she can to get what she wants. And guys get really unattracted to that and turned off by that if they're considering somebody they're getting serious with, right? Because it's not acting with integrity. It's like being shady and manipulative, and that's the kind of behavior that anxiety causes us to do. So I think she's got some blind spots there that she's got to work through, because I think her anxiety, if she thought she could maybe manipulate this a little bit, I'm not saying she would, but I get a feeling that if she thought she could be sneaky here and get him to betray his girlfriend or do some things in a way that would lead him back to her, she would do it. And I don't think you should act like that. I don't think you should act with dishonesty or sneaky intentions and manipulative, because it usually comes back to bite you in the butt. Okay? I really believe that the best way to do it is through acting with integrity. If you want to send that one message, hey, if you're ever single, you got my number, maybe I'll be single. Something for him to think about, and if it doesn't work out, then I'm sure he will think about it. Now, I'm not telling you guys to reach out and break no contact and apologize the way she did. She did all this before she asked for, coaching with me. I wouldn't do that in almost all cases, right? But he was dating somebody and he's been dating somebody. And until that falls apart, you really got to leave the guy alone. You don't want to be sneaky and manipulative. I know you're anxious and you miss somebody, but you really want to act with integrity and feel good about how you handle things. Because if you don't, it winds up coming up in the relationship later. And honestly, like I said, a man will really get turned off by a woman who does this because he wants a woman that he's proud of. And, if she starts being sneaky and manipulative and trying to get his attention when he's got a girlfriend, he's probably going to be like, I didn't think you would be like that. I know I personally would be like, if I had an ex that did that, I would be like, I didn't, that's a turnoff. I want to be with somebody that I'm proud of and that has integrity, not somebody that's doing sneaky, shady things behind other people's backs, right? Because if they'll do it with you, they'll do it to you. Always remember stuff like that, guys, okay? All right, so hopefully this one's been helpful to you. If you want to get my help personally, you can do that on my website, askcraig.net. I do email coaching and I do Skype. But that's it for this video. I'm Coach Craig Kenneth, and I will talk with you soon.